What is up, my friends, and welcome to the UFL Week in Review, one of the longest-running UFL podcasts in the history of humanity. I'm your host, Mark Perry, bringing you all the inside scoop from the gridiron as we count down 9 days until UFL kickoff on March 30th. This week, we dive deep into the heart of the league, the United Football League, with exclusive insight you're not going to want to miss. First up, Greg Williams, defensive coordinator of DC Defenders. He talks about UFL expansions. We'll get into that, plus the DC ticket sales. Then we have Daryl Johnston. He talks about the managing egos and the ecosystem of the UFL hub. You don't want to miss that. Plus, we're going to talk about the UFL's new phone app that kind of came out. Plus, we have interviews with Memphis Showboats defensive coordinator Carnell Lake and linebacker TJ Neal. Plus, Houston Roughnecks head coach CJ Johnson gives us the lowdown on the starting quarterback for the 2024 season. You'll hear it from him. Plus, in our notes section, we'll cover some key updates, including the Showboats returning to the radio, the IFL's new streaming partnership, a unique opportunity for your Birmingham Stallion young fans, and the USFL partnership with this Flux for decentralized technology. Plus, you don't want to miss the update on the News Hub fantasy site, UFL News Hub mobile app, and the UFL forum, I should say. So that's what we got. So stay tuned to the end, and we'll also dive into your emails and sharing your insights and answering questions and more. Remember, if you love what you're hearing, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, or reach out to us on podcast at uflnewshub.com or call 888-430-7692 extension 3. So with all that being said, let's get started.
USFL is in business.
The USFL is underway.
There's no doubt spring just got stronger.
Expansion? We're talking about expansion? That's right. DC Defenders defensive coordinator Greg Williams was on his podcast with Blake Williams called Come Get Some. It's a great show. Definitely check it out. It's on YouTube. They not only talk about the NFL and the Cleveland Browns, but they also talk about the DC Defenders and defense and all this kind of stuff. So if you want to get full Greg Williams experience and how he calls defensive plays, it is a show to watch. So the first thing he mentioned in there is that he was excited about the support of the DC fans and how rapid they sold out tickets in the beer snakes section. He said, quote, and we just found out too, Blake, we just found out that almost every single ticket has been sold out there this year, talking about Audi Field. But in the beer snake section, when they put up those tickets, they sold out in that beer snake section in 20 minutes. That is interesting, and that is fantastic for the league, and I'm not surprised. If you go check out Ticketmaster, you can see that there's still tickets available, but then you start to see a lot of more resale tickets. Different sections are being opened. It still says general admission for the beer snake section. So I think there's still tickets available. But if you take a look at the DC Defender stuff, you can see that the tickets are actually selling fast. And I think things are going well. I mean, it was a lot of like verified tickets. Then I was like scrolling around, and all of a sudden I saw resale. So here you see all the resale tickets. There's a lot of resale tickets. So people bought the tickets and are trying to sell them maybe for a little profit. We'll see as the season gets closer. We're only a couple weeks away, but basically the gist of it is that ticket sales are really going well for the DC Defenders. That is great news, and I hope that Audi Field is packed. He also talked about the UFL's ambitious plan for expansion, talking about the strategic approach to improving, kind of adding to more teams. And, well, this is what he said.
It'll be interesting now. The UFL only played in Birmingham. Now they're going to be going out to the cities just like we did. And then, with the success of this year, they're looking at selling the teams into the different markets and all that stuff, plus increasing, going from 8 teams this year to 12 teams the next year and 16 teams the following year. And they've got it set up in a very positive way, and it's so much needed for spring football to help the NFL and to keep everything going.
So you see, the key to this happening is that the league needs to have a successful first season, and it is critical. Ticket sales, viewership, merch sales, sponsorship, all that stuff, a good energy for the league. I think they can move in the right directions. That's why they only start at 8 markets in the beginning. My sources have told me that there have been talks with potential ownerships. Clearly, the Memphis Showboats and the FedEx guy, I don't remember his name, he was the one that brought the Memphis Showboats back after, remember, they had the Tampa Bay Bandits. And according to during their press conference, he said, hey, Brian Woods got a phone call from the head of FedEx, the owner of FedEx, and he said, I want a team in Memphis. And that's how that team came about. Also hearing that there could be something with the Michigan Panthers, and that's why they're kind of existing. They're struggling with their ticket sales right now. Not really sure what's going on with their teams. They were kind of late to the game. Not sure about the fan base there just yet, but I feel like that team was brought in the fold of the 8 because there's potential ownership there. Also heard that New Jersey, Philadelphia, Canton are potential places with ownership as well. So if they're going to add another 4 teams next season, I definitely think that New Jersey, Canton, Philadelphia are in the mix there. And of course, this also goes to the XFL side of things with Orlando, who already has a stadium, and Seattle, who already has a stadium, as potential fits as well. I mean, Seattle, this would be a lot better in the season. It wouldn't be as cold like it was if they continue with this time frame, though they might go back to the February time frame. That has been kind of rumblings too. They just kind of did this because they were kind of merging everything together. I think this is going to be a sign. Maybe they go back to that. And then you have Orlando, their Camping World Stadium. They're getting upgrades to that stadium. So that would be a place. Of course, Dani Garcia is involved and she lives in the Orlando area. So that was kind of her team. So maybe those teams come on board, or maybe not. Maybe Michigan goes away and another team comes on. So this is good news for fans who lost their team, or even fans that don't have a team yet. It gives them a reason to watch the league, because they could potentially have, I mean, if you live in New Jersey, there could be a Philadelphia team. And if you live in New York, you lost the New York Guardians. I mean, if you're in Florida or Atlanta, you have the Guardians down there. Maybe they change names. Everything, no matter what he says. So not only would teams come in 2025, but then it would be 16 teams in 2026. That is their plan. But that, again, is all contingent on this season and how it goes and how you guys support the league and how you guys get the word out there. So it's up to us. It's the super fans that have been following this for a long time. It is up to us to be the ones that take this league to the next level. Like Mike Mitchell said in our podcast last week from Sports Illustrated, that you can't get any better than ESPN and Fox Sports partnering together to have a football league. You have this new kind of Fox, ESPN getting together, sports network streaming thing that they're working on together. They know they can't compete with each other. Then they'll have to go up against the Apples and the Netflix. Netflix is getting involved in sports too. We know about the wrestling moving to there. The Rock is involved with that as well. So clearly something is going to happen. Clearly there is a market for this. It just needs to have a little patience, and this is the first year. I think they went bare bones. We've talked about it on the show multiple times. Bare bones on the season in order to see if this thing works. And I have a feeling we hear about the ticket demand in D.C. The ticket demand in St. Louis is strong. So is Birmingham. Other locations, I think, will step up as the season goes. The juice isn't there as it was in 2020 and 2023. But the problem is, I think once you get to Fox, once these games are on television, I think things will start to bounce and people will start to get interested, looking at fantasy, looking at DraftKings and doing all those kind of things, and really kind of get into it once the season hits. So what we want to see is maybe a peak in the beginning. We would love to see growth. We hopefully will get TV numbers. That's all kind of been wonky, but stadium numbers, and we'll see what kind of data we get out of this. But this is a great sign that they're already talking about it. But again, everything contingents on how this season goes. So if you're a fan or want to be a fan of the league, get in now, because you could have a home location in the next year or two. UFL VP Daryl Johnston discusses some interesting things of UFL operations and ego. So he recently did an interview on the Fast Lane on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. He's been hitting the airwaves all over the place. Daryl Johnston, of course, is the president of football operations for the United Football League, shared insight into the league's operation, challenges, and excitement surrounding spring football. So one of the things he emphasized is the importance of adopting best practices, leaving egos out the door to ensure the UFL's success. So basically what he said, we're talking about the challenge of merging the league. He said that when you're on Zoom calls, it's one thing, but when you're working once they got into the DFW area, things really started and got boots on the ground. Really, things started to come together. He said, quote, "We have checked their egos at the door. We are working towards what's the best thing possible moving forward for the UFL." So a lot of Zoom calls going on, and then all of a sudden now you're face to face. So that was an interesting thing. So trying to put the egos aside and getting on with the business of the league. I've heard, there's still struggles, with both sides, between the UFL side and the XFL side, about what they should and shouldn't do, and who's kind of in charge. I've been hearing rumblings about that, but basically they're all trying to come together. And I think maybe now that they're kind of centralized and together, now they can work to make, because basically we need this league to succeed. Also talked about some integrating the teams into their home markets. He said one thing we had to do, this was the part that he said that was really interesting. He said, to start out, both of us talked when we started our leagues to crawl, then walk, then run. And we were both probably starting to walk. And now we're a little wobbly. Let's go back to crawl a little bit more and make sure we don't get propped up on a good foundation. But that's the most important part. So what he was talking about the budgetary things and about how they both leagues kind of came out of the gate a little too fast and hot and heavy. The XFL, they had a lot of staff. They thought that they were going to be great. We heard about the $60 million that they had lost the first year, though that number is kind of, there's a thing to that number. So I won't get into that, but it's not as bad as you think it is with that 60 million. Let's put it that way. And then the USFL trying to do really slow and not really tapping into the home markets. But trying to expand, and maybe they even expanded a little too fast. Maybe they wanted to do Birmingham for another year or two before they went into other markets, but were forced to change. So they were both kind of wobbly, like, I don't know. And then they said, let's go back to crawl a little bit more. That's why you've got the 8 teams now. Do we get more teams next year? Do we get 10? Do we get 12? Does it stay the status quo? Again, everything depends on this season. And he's talking about focusing on engaging the fans and a professional experience. I'm talking about St. Louis, and of course, they just announced that the championship game was in St. Louis. It's the energy, and so it's very excited. That is the kind of bell cow, the main, clearly team in the UFL is, of course, the St. Louis Battlehawks. So a lot of things are going to depend on this year, but it's good to hear Moose Johnston talking about that. I had the pleasure of meeting him in person and get to talk about the UFL and experience with the USFL. Like you said, everybody is in place. The question is, are we going to be able to execute here down the road? And is this going to be a successful season? And it's all really going to come down to you and me and putting this league over. The UFL continues to innovate. If you had the XFL app and you did an update, your XFL app is now the UFL app. Now, it's not our app, which we're still working on trying to get that approved. Things, as you know, my backstory, so you know why things were getting delayed. But they did launch a new mobile app this year, offers real-time scores, stats, and exclusive content. You can customize it with your favorite team, and they'll have ticketing on there, official merchandise. I'm not really sure if they're going to do anything crazy like when the USFL did their thing when it comes to the apps, and there was like this whole NFT thing going on. I would love to see it come back. I would love to see cards come back. There was like things where you could go, if you were at an event, you would scan on things. I don't know. I assume they're not going to go anything fancy of that, but the official app is now out. Our app will be coming soon. But that is a good thing that the app is back and updated. It looks nice. So make sure you download it and install it on your phone. And then when the UFL News Hub app is ready to rock and roll, you download that on your phone as well.
In football, every play counts towards the win, just like every click counts towards growing your business. At CM3 Solutions, we're the game changers you need. With our cutting-edge SEO strategies, we'll put your business in the top league, ensuring you're seen by the fans that matter most, your customers. And when it comes to web design, we craft winning plays with stunning websites that not only look great but perform. From the first click, your audience is engaged with user-friendly designs that score big on customer satisfaction. Need a custom app? We've got the playbook to bring your vision to life, enhancing your digital presence and driving your business forward. So, whether it's SEO, web design, or application development, team up with CM3 Solutions. Let's score those business goals together. CM3 Solutions, where your business wins. Visit us today at cm3solutions.com.
Coach, I had a question more about the merger. So last year, and comparing how was training camp this year versus how was it different from last year, comparing basically the USFL and now this merged league together?
Yeah, I think there's been quite a few changes. Number one, everybody's in Arlington, which is different than last year. Last year, we had several hubs, and we shared a hub with the Houston Gamblers, which are now the Houston Roughnecks. And we were kind of in a warehouse situation that was kind of positioned and kind of fixed up for offices and meeting rooms and such. And this year, we do share a building with St. Louis, but it's a true office building. I mean, we go to our floor. We got basically half of the floor is ours. The other half is St. Louis's, and we got real windows. We could look outside. It's been good so far, actually. You know, we had the AC go out on us one time, and that got a little uncomfortable, but that's not on the league. So the food has been good. Nobody's really seemed to be complaining about getting lack of food or anything like that. The accommodations at the practice facilities are great. You know, I don't know if you guys have been down to Texas and seen these high schools. They look like the universities. It's amazing. And so we've got a good facility to practice in, brand new turf, and so that's been an upgrade from last year. And it'll be interesting to see. I think the one thing that probably is a little bit different, that we hopefully we can get back to, is that we were stationed in Memphis last year and got to we got to really experience the community of Memphis because we were there day in and day out. And now that we're practicing in Arlington, that's been a change. Although Arlington has been great, the people here are great, the city's great, everything is really top notch. It was nice to get a chance to really interact with the community of Memphis because they really did turn out for our games, and I'm hoping that doesn't change this year just because we're practicing in Arlington.
Two questions for you. First, what is the quarterback room looking like, and the running backs for you as far as who might be the starters? I mean, we're 10 days out to kickoff.
Yeah, the quarterback today, I'm glad you asked. We named Jared Guantano. He's going to be our starter. Reed Sinnett, Nolan Henderson will be backing him up. I think it was a great competition all camp long. We thought, man, it was one day it was Nolan, one day it was Jared, one day it was Reed. But in the end, I think the body of work that Jared put forth, I think he deserves to start. And whoever's the backup, we're going to play him too. We're going to play both of them. You'll see them in the first game, second quarter, it'll be third series, something like that. But man, I thought Jared played extremely, extremely well. And the running back is shaping up good. Mark Thompson had a little bit of a hiccup. He got a little bit of a knee sprain, and we'll see where he is. But other than that, man, we got good running backs. Mark's done a good job. Taiwan, he's got one guy that, man, Evans, he's a guy that I'm truly, truly impressed with. TJ Pleasure's always been good. And man, we found Kurt Merritt, and he may be, the people from New Orleans and the people from Miami Dolphins told me he'll be a special third down back. He's doing really, really well.
Oh, great. And then my final question is 10 days before training camp, what's the difference between last year's training camp and this year's training camp with the merger? I mean, not only do you have the merger, the new facilities in Arlington, but then also new players, merging the players. Can you kind of touch on that?
Sure. The difference, and I'm not saying it wasn't first class last year, but this is first class. I mean, the hotels are better. The practice facilities are phenomenal. Weight room, everything is right there. From uniform to everything is been a really, really classy environment. The next thing, man, the competition is so much better. The teams are better. Whenever you merge, there's generally some fall off, but not this time. You watch those other teams, they're a better team. It's going to be a much, much better product. But all in all, I like where we are. I think I'm more familiar with the team. I'm more familiar with the players, and they are more ready to play football and play a game.
All right, we're now part of the news and notes section. So the Memphis Showboats are returning to the airwaves. The Showboats games for the 2024 United Football League season will once again be aired on News Talk 98.9 The Roar in Memphis. The season trio of Salviore, Russell Copeland, and Tyler Springs will return to cover play-by-play, color analysis, and sideline reporting. Also, if you're a global access, this is the key. As local airways fans worldwide can tune into the game via the station's website, ensuring no one misses the action. So that's pretty cool. So you can go and listen to the play-by-play on newstalk989.com. I will be sure to check in. I think it's great to have a local market, having it on the radio, airwaves, and all you fans, we can listen to it as well. Speaking of stuff, IFL expands their reach. I didn't know about this, so that you can watch not only indoor football league games on YouTube, but now an app called Caffeine. I just installed it on my Roku. You can stream and watch games from your television. So check out they have some other stuff inside the IFL, Plays of the Week, and that's on Android, Roku, and Amazon Fire on the Caffeine platform. So it's Caffeine TV. You want to check that out. If you're in the Birmingham Stallions, the Birmingham area, the kids, they're calling for young fans to do a whole poster design thing for 1st and 5th grade students only. Not any of you people, 1st and 5th grade students only, not you. And you can win some tickets, special tickets, and becomes the official Stallions poster. We have all the details in UFL News Hub, but if you definitely want to get involved for that, it's got an address where you need to deliver. Everything needs to be delivered by April 5th, and there's questions. There's an email that you can get in touch with when it comes to that. So it's Birmingham Stallions fans. If you got kids and you're in Birmingham, I want to hear one of the listeners of this program who is Birmingham Stallions fans and has a 5th grader, 1st to 5th grader. I want to hear that you submitted a poster because you heard it here first. That would make my day. That'd be awesome. And finally, the UFL partners with Flux, a decentralized technology sponsorship. So these guys partnered with the DC Defenders and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Those are basically the two top teams, in my opinion. Clearly, with markets and everything, St. Louis is number 1, DC is number 2. So they have kind of partnered with their doing in-game stuff at home games, their commitment to sports fans, a partnership. The world of Web3, I'm not really sure what exactly their decentralized technology will do with spring football, but they are going to be they are kind of another sponsorship thing. You can read all about that there. And that's all just good news for the league because we definitely want to have partnerships. That is key. Sponsorships, partnerships with the league brings in the revenue. Ticket sales, partnerships, TV ratings, merchandise buying, all of those things kind of come hand in hand. There's more people at the stadium, then there's more interest, then that's how they can sell it to partners. So really, I would say the core crux of this league is the fans in the stands. That will kind of drive everything else. Ticket sales will drive everything else. It will drive the partnerships, the sponsors, the advertisers, and everything else that needs to go in this league. So it's up to us to bring fans to the stands and to games. So that's just some more partnerships and news coming out. Real quickly on the email part of this says, 4th and Long from the UFL board says, heard the news on the podcast. Sorry to hear about your wife. Praying and hoping for the best. Hang in there. Thank you very much. 4th and Long, a legend on the UFL board. Appreciate that. And James checking in, listen to the podcast, driving in from out of town and learn your wife's latest battle with blood cancer. I'm really sorry your family is going through it. Continue to keep your family in my prayers. Full recovery is a must. Look forward to meeting you and your wife in St. Louis, maybe on June 16th. Again, I appreciate that email as well. She's doing well. Every day she seems to get a little bit more stronger. Friday will be an interesting day because Fridays is her treatment days. We're still talking about the first game of the season. We talked about maybe going somewhere to watch the first weekend of the season, but I have a feeling we'll just do something at home because she gets her treatments on Fridays, and then Saturdays and Sundays she's kind of a little bit groggy. Energized Friday, because they give her part of her treatment is they give her steroids to keep whatever this, that, and the other thing in control. And so last Friday was pretty funny. She had a burst of energy and she was cleaning the garage. So there you have it. So, but yeah, appreciate again all your thoughts and prayers. Prayers is the best thing you can do for us. I will have next week, I plan and I will debut it about what we're going to kind of do based on this experience. And maybe you guys can be part of that whole thing. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we'll talk about that next week as well. Again, final week. This is it. We've got cut downs this weekend. We'll have the final rosters, and then it's game week, preparing for week 1 next week. It has been a crazy road. Still working on the News Hub Fantasy. Did a huge upgrade to the draft engine. There's still some bugs, but I think we've kind of got that taken care of. Hopefully, knock on wood. So the News Hub Fantasy app is, again, this is a beta version. I did not, like I've told you guys before, I wanted to have a big runway of all summer long working with CFL's data to kind of get this app where it needs to be. Did not get that. And then I was like, okay, well, when the season gets closer, we all know what happened in my personal life. So that knocked me out for basically 3 weeks. And then the News Hub app, the phone app that has been submitted to Apple again, trying to work that out. And again, I'm trying to just juggle things, and there you have it there. If you're a fan of the league and you're a writer and you want to be part of this league, a part of our News Hub, UFL News Hub family, message me. We're looking for people to cover the Houston, DC, and Memphis. I was trying to do those things, but I just don't have the time, and I'm trying to manage everything on the back end to get everything where I need it to be. So we're definitely looking for writers, DFS, fantasy writers. We want to do all those kind of things. I was planning on doing a lot of that this year, but again, things have just not been going according to plan, as you are very aware of. So, but God is good. God's got this, and he has a plan, and I'm just going to sit back and follow his light, and wherever it leads us that's where I'm going, because one thing is not shaken with all of this stuff is my faith in God. So that's it for me, folks. As always, God bless. One more week, my friends. We'll catch up next week. Basically, we'll be ready for kickoff. So we will see you next week, and I will see you all later. God bless.